it's been so amazing today. Uh, Somebody told me that if I hold my finger and I press my finger, I won't cry. I was doing that the whole time during Javen's speech. Anyway, she's really amazing. Ad Club, thank you so much for your leadership here in Boston and for creating the Rosoff Awards, which further demonstrates your commitment to D&I. Andrew, congratulations to you for being such a powerful leader in the area of healthcare and in our community. And I wanted to basically, today talk about my story as an immigrant, one of the first immigrant families that came to California. But I want to share with you that this that I've been holding in my pink folder changed the path of my life. What do you think this is? Am I holding it right? Yeah. What is this? Exactly. It's the multiplication tables. And so let me take you back to the 60s when we, Mexican people, were being invited to come work in California and a program called Los Braceros. And so my father came alone for the first year, and then later when he secured a place for us to live and employment, he brought the family. And he had this rich passion for education. He himself was educated, but Mexico, our state was becoming a really bad place. The drug lords were taking care over our lands. My family had a lot of ranches, and so we needed to find a new place, and my father wanted nothing to do with that type of business, and so he came, leaving all the family's money behind. But anyway, we came. And so my father brought books from Mexico in Spanish, and then he would go to work. So let's go. So we're at our house, in a kitchen table. My dad would leave 3 quarters. There's three of us, three quarters on the table. In the 60s, a quarter was a lot of money. You could buy a hamburger from McDonald's for a quarter. And back then they had that pickle. We would always fight for the pickle. But anyway, so a quarter was a lot, and my dad would leave the quarter, and he says, kids, when you get home from school, work on your Spanish. You're all in different pages of your books. Read it, and then do your tables. And so, I remember one week I had the row of 2s and the row of 3s. But he did this when I was 4 years old. We were all really little. So we went to school, and these kids we didn't speak English, but we knew math. And they said, these Garcia kids are really, really smart. And so the schools in California, the school that we were at taught us English. They had all kinds of ways to teach us. They had all these labs, and then they hung toys from the ceilings. And you can accumulate points and then, get that tennis racket or whatever you wanted. And so it was, and back then, Silicon Valley didn't exist. We had lots of tomato plants that people came, and it was like farmland. And so the Mexicans were there working, so there was a lot of us, that needed to learn English. Once I learned English, I became the top of my class. So did my brother, so did my sister. I was a representative from my school to go meet the governor, I was a female representative, to go with this other young boy to go to meet the governor in Sacramento. And that was really exciting. And then there was a lot of companies. Back then, Hewlett-Packard was the Google of today, and Hewlett-Packard had a diversity strategy. So I am the product of those diversity strategies that companies have out there, because I'm an example that if you invest in the youth, they can become productive citizens. And so, thank you, Carol. So then I had lots of scholarships. One of my big scholarships came from HP and from the Rotary Club, a men's group, the Rotary Club of San Carlos. And I had enough money to pay for school at UC Davis, which is one of the top engineering schools in California. And I loved electromagnetics, so I was the only one that graduated in my class in electromagnetics. And you can imagine how hard it was back then, for the guys to deal with a girl in class. They didn't want to do the labs with me, so instead the professor said, Aida, I'll be your lab partner. And I did really well. I loved him, Dr. Andrew. He was fantastic. So there's so many opportunities that came to my life. And then when I graduated from college, my hardest decision was to decide which company I was going to go work for. So I spent 20 years working as an engineer at HP. And then afterwards, one thing that I wanted to say is that it was really hard once I entered, because the guys, once again, didn't want me to work there, because I was already stupid because I was a woman. So I was a woman. On top of that, I'm Mexican. So, I had done the impossible to graduate from a really good university and then go to work at HP, who had a diversity strategy, and they loved me, but they hadn't told those guys that I ended up working for. Anyway, over time, I had a great manager, and over the years, I became their manager. 11 years later, I became their manager. And I had a fantastic career there. Then HP and Agilent split, and they needed a head of diversity. I started the first Latino group at HP. I got involved in the women's group, and we won a Catalyst Award for that. And you diversity practitioners, you know about that Catalyst Award. It's a big deal. And so when HP and Agilent split, I was, one of the people that they asked to come run diversity. That was back in 1999. And since then, I've been a diversity practitioner. I came to Boston in 2004 and led the first diversity strategy for EMC. And then a big company in healthcare, Cardinal Health, hired me to launch their diversity strategy. And then 7 years later, I'm back in Boston and loving every moment. I love Boston so much. And I'm working for Parexel, an amazing company that's giving me the opportunity to take my passion for D&I and take it around the globe. So far, we've done a lot of work in India on gender equity. In Tokyo, just did our first course focused on men advocating real change. Going to Berlin next in June to do the course again for the second time. And I'm also doing similar work in Argentina and in other parts of the globe. And so now, the national work that I used to do before, now I'm able to impact the globe. To be able to have conversations in Tokyo with men around what they need to do to support equality. Because when women do well, our communities do well, and so do men's lives. We all do well. And so, I would like to basically dedicate this award to my dad, who, thank God, he's still alive. He's not very mobile, but he's still alive. And I was in California yesterday, and I said, Daddy, I'm getting this award. Like, they have no idea. They have no idea that I sit on a board at the Harvard Kennedy School. They have no idea of all the things that I do. And he just smiles, and tears are coming out of his eyes. And I said, I'm gonna do the timetable. I'm gonna talk about that story because you allowed me to be successful. And so I dedicate this award to my father, Antonio Garcia. That believed that a little girl could pursue an engineering degree and knew that this little girl could have a better life for herself. And then also I want to dedicate this to the youth that's out there that has dreams in their heart about a better life for their families. And so thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity.